Hi, everyone. So today we have in front of us Harshal. Harshal is a student in data science in Trinity College Dublin. I'll let him introduce more about himself. And this video's focus will be more upon one particular subject. The reason why we are covering that particular subject of the first semester here would be clear when we go ahead in the video. So we'll start with introduction from Harshal. Harshal, over to you. You may introduce yourself.
Okay, so I am Harshal Patil, and currently I'm studying M.SC. Computer Science uh, on the data science strand, and I hope I will graduate in August 2023. So that's who I am.
Yeah, and how about your previous profile before coming here? What did you study before? If you were working, how was your experience?
Okay, so before coming to Trinity, I was working with a healthcare service company, uh, and I have 6 years of experience in data engineering mostly. And before doing my job, I was an electronics engineer. I did my bachelor's from Sardar Patel Institute of Technology. And the 6 years of the job has like generated my interest in computer science. So that's why I'm pursuing the computer science, data science strand uh, in Trinity now currently.
Yeah. And we already have mentioned that you are studying data science here.
Mhm.
So we'll ask you, how did you come about selecting this particular course? Probably that could be because you were already a data engineering in that profile. So that's one thing that the viewers could think of. But what other things did you have in mind while choosing this particular data science subject and this particular college? And do you have other options open in front of you, other colleges or other countries also that you considered for choosing this?
Uh, so I was also considering all countries. Basically, I had applied to Germany, then USA, Netherlands, and Sweden as well. But unfortunately, because I'm from electronics background and I didn't study that much subjects of computer science in my electronics engineering, so that's why I was falling short of the academic requirements in for Germany, Sweden, and Netherlands. So that's why I applied to Ireland and USA. I had offers from one college in the USA and Trinity in Ireland. I had only applied to Trinity here. And as the course was 1 year course, and the course, the way it is structured, I like that the course ends in 1 year. And in 1 year, it is a like fully packed course because in 3 months you have to study 6 subjects, and another 3 months you have to study another 6 subjects, and after that you have to do your dissertation as well. So you don't have the time to like slack off, kind of, which is really important in this course. And so that's why I chose Trinity, and also because it's a brand name, no, Trinity College Dublin. So that's why I chose Trinity. Yeah.
Yeah. And next, we'll start deep diving into the main topic of today. So before that, what are the subjects you have had till now in your... so for the viewers, you have completed semester 1, semester 2, 3 is remaining right now. You are currently a student here. And so what were your subjects in semester 1, and which one was the most challenging one?
So like I had 6 subjects. The more I will name them. So one was machine learning, then scalable computing, then data analytics, then computer graphics, research and innovation, and uh, data visualization. So out of all the 6 subjects, like all the 6 subjects are not easy, I can say. But the thing about I found the most challenging, the subject that I found most challenging was scalable computing, because the coursework was really hectic and you had to think more out of the box. It is not like that other subjects didn't made you think out of the box, but scalable challenged me the most. Scalable and machine learning also. But like I enjoyed doing scalable computing this semester more than any other subject.
Yeah. And why was it specifically challenging? What was covered in the course?
So,
And what area did you touch when you say you were challenged?
so like I said before, almost every subject is challenging, but scalable computing is much more demanding. And I like the fact that scalable computing is not a subject in itself, but it covers other subjects as well. So the course really covers what really scalable is in computation terms. And it teaches you what kind of technologies and libraries we should think of before we or start creating an application or a project, or start fixing an already created project or application. And like we had assignments which were based on reading a research paper, which is really important for a master student, because I came from electronics engineering background, and during my engineering background, I didn't know how to read papers that well. But this course, like the first assignment was reading a paper and summarizing it in one PDF, like one page PDF. So it taught me how to read a paper. It taught me how to express the learnings and teachings of the paper in my own words. And also, the way the course is taught is a little strange, because the professor gives us hints to solve the assignments projects he gives, but he never gives a full answer. And I think that is a good way to teach someone, because it builds your ability to think
Yeah.
in difficult situations, and it kind of builds your ability thinking in that way, that you have to think yourself and you don't have to rely on someone to get the answer for your problems.
Yeah. So because I'm part Harshal and I, for the viewers, are part of the same course. So I remember particularly for this scalable subject, the frustration level of the students were very high. So maybe because the way you mentioned that the it really challenges you. There is no very it the subject in itself covers a lot of other subjects, and you are just given a problem statement, and the professor never gives you full answers, so you have to do a lot of thinking work. So did you also have that uh, boundaries touching of your thinking ability? Did you also feel frustrated, and how was the workload in general?
Yeah, so like all the projects that the professor gave us were very challenging and difficult to solve. Like the first project was a capture solving project, and it was mainly focused on machine learning part rather than scalable part. But as you progressed in the project, you can see what can we do to make the project scalable. Because we had to do the project on Raspberry Pi, which is already a memory handicapped machine. So you had to think on what can we do to make the project run on a Raspberry Pi.
Mm.
And yes, like as you said, I had reached my boundaries. Like I was also frustrated during the course that I was not able to get all the answers. The the professor like did a good thing by opening a discussion forum where
Mm.
everyone in the class can collaborate with everyone. That is a very good thing, because as you speak your ideas with other people, you get different solutions in your mind. And as you reach your boundaries, you need to get help from someone. Like you need to get help from professor, and if professor gives you some hint and you don't get the full answer from the professor, you take the hint, you ask your friends or your course people that this is the hint that the professor gave.
Mm.
You may interpret the hint in some way, the your friend or your peers might interpret in a different way. So the course is built in a such a way that everyone in the class works together on all the projects that the professor gives, and that is a good thing because it builds unity. It also kind of teaches you how to like work with other people, and that is a kind of a good thing in corporate world when we like graduate from this course and do do our corporate jobs. We don't know who we'll be working with, and
Yeah.
like this course like builds the foundation for that, I think.
Yeah. Also, Harshal, that you mentioned that you have had 6 years of experience before joining this course. So, did that experience give you an upper hand, let's say, in this subject, which is the most challenging you mentioned, compared to another student who is just fresh out of bachelor's coming here? And did the professor or did the subject itself made sure that you both are at the same level when you start a new project, or did you had an upper hand?
I think like before, I didn't have any experience with machine learning and uh, the the kind of projects that the professor gives. So we were kind of on the like all the if the fresher is there and I am there of 6 years of experience, the only upper hand will I have that I have worked more on coding languages, but that same can be covered by a fresher who is like really talented and he can cover that up experience, like 6 years of experience in a small amount of time. But the experience of working with other different people that can't be covered, and that's I think gave me a little bit of an upper hand here. But I don't think like 6 years of experience gave me an upper hand here. Like even a fresher and me, I think we were on the same foot.
Yeah, yeah. So that's really a good point that I wanted to bring out in this discussion, that for so that the freshers or people having less experience should not feel intimidated. They should also have motivation, and it is doable. People have done it. So
Yeah.
there are freshers just coming out of college, and you just have to be good at what you have done yet, and you can sail through. So coming to the next part. So this subject, the professor follows, uh, he tries to cover all spectrum of all round approach of making the best in the students. So for example, he gives you research paper reading assignments. He gives you projects in ML in the beginning of the course when you don't know anything about ML, and then he gives you Raspberry Pis and some really unexpected problem statements, which I will ask you later to touch upon what you did as a project, what the topic was. So then you are asked to give presentations. So I think he's trying to cover a lot of spectrum here. So
Mm.
how was your journey towards it? If you can walk us through how it started, like research paper happened, then what happened, then what happened, and how it all built up to support you in your final the most difficult project, we can say.
Mm.
And how did
Yeah.
you yeah.
Yeah. So if we take like the first week of the course, like he on the very first lecture he gave us an assignment on how to how like research get a paper on blockchain, and that should be a recent paper, and it should cover like how to make a blockchain scalable. And like from that moment, like you had to think like how do you search for papers. He has like he gave hints in the assignment sheet that he has gave that from where do you have to search the research papers, like how to search for them as well. Then what kind of resources do you have we have at Trinity College Dublin. That the resources that we have in Trinity College Dublin are really great. Like you can get any paper that you want here, and that and like because it is a college resource, so you can get it for free as well. And you start reading the research paper, you don't understand what is written in the research paper because you don't have any background of what is written in the paper, because blockchain was new to me
Yeah.
and I didn't know what actually a blockchain is. So before starting the research paper, I started reading upon what is blockchain. But then, like, it could have taken me like 1 or 2 weeks to complete the assignment, and the deadline was just like 7 days. So what I did was I followed the approach. Like I started reading the research paper, like what is given in the abstract, and then I read the conclusion about what the paper was in the abstract, and what the authors did, what kind of work the authors did in the conclusion, and then I started reading introduction. Like, so it kind of felt like a algorithm, I can say, a flowchart, like to read a paper that you get the idea from the abstract, then you get what kind of work is done in the conclusion,
Yeah.
and then you start reading the introduction and the work done by the authors in detail. And the good thing about is this assignment where he gave us like summarize this paper, like this 13 or 14 pages paper in just one page. So you had to be concise in what you write. You need to have good understanding on what you have understood from the paper, and then you have also have to give a presentation on what you have understood from this paper. And this was just for paper reading. And then he gave us like the capture solving assignment, which was like, because we any of us didn't have any prior, I think most of them had prior background in machine learning, but like almost like half the class didn't have a prior background in machine learning, so we were struggling a lot. But he put good demonstration in the assignment as well, that what we have to do. And it is not like things like you can just Google and get the answers. You have to think about that. So then that capture solving assignment built upon your thinking. And then came the final assignment, which was working with a named data network. So you had to combine everything from what you have learned from the start, like paper reading, then thinking out of the box, then checking, reading different people's code, and then implementing your own code for the final project. So if you think about it, like the course is well structured, and if you do it properly from the day one, you will like, it will still be a hectic course, but it will, the learnings from this course are really good. And like if you start the assignments on time, I think it should be doable like before, and you shouldn't ask, you shouldn't be able to ask for deadline extensions. But I think deadline extensions are a welcome part from the professor sometimes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Also, apart from these, there was a midterm exam. So,
mm,
how did you manage that exam as well? Because these all are very constrained timelines that we are talking about. We
mm,
don't have just one scalable subject, we have other subjects as well. I think your video is gone.
sorry.
It's back. Yeah. So so there are five other subjects that we are talking about here,
mm,
many other assignments that you have to take care of. Again, you have a midterm exam here. So also the professor, I really like the approach, professor's approach here. He gives you marks for participation. So that I think he's trying to touch all the elements that a student needs to develop to be able to be ready for the industry, for to be ready for any role in the industry going forward. So your few cents on the midterm exam, how did you manage that?
so the midterm exam was like really difficult for me because I had like three assignments due during that period. But even like during that time also, like uh, the professor allowed us to work with other students to collaborate on like what you want to study. But then the exam was like a real exam. You have to write your own answers. And it was a difficult exam because like the exam was on all the topics that he has taught us, and like there was not a lot of material on what he has taught us, so we had to do our own research on that. But that also was kind of built in us, because from the first assignment you have to do your own research for researching about a particular topic or a particular subject. So, and that first assignment kind of also helped in the studying for the midterm exam. I didn't do that well. I got like 60 marks out of 100 in the midterm exam. So, but still, like the amount of work that I put in, like I think 60 marks is I was deserving of those.
Yeah.
So you get a sense of fulfillment in like all the marks that you get in Scalable, because like you get marks because you have worked hard for them, correct?
Yeah.
And like you can't deny that if you have done good, the professor gives you good marks. And if you even if you have done decent, he still will give you like decent marks. And the professor is uh kind of scary in that way, because like if you do good work, you will get good marks. But if you don't do that well, he might fail you.
Yeah.
But when you get the marks, you get a sense of fulfillment because you have worked so hard for them,
Yeah.
and you get good marks, then you're happy. And I think midterm exam is like of 15% of the total coursework.
15 marks.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, 15 marks of the total coursework, and for that also you have to work really, really hard.
Mm.
So like this course is a hard work, but after the course ends, like you will be cursing through the course that why we are doing this. But after the course ends, you will get to see like you will be a different person
Mm.
basically, because you have learned a lot during the course and you
Yeah.
have worked hard. So, and no hard work goes to waste, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you already tried to touch on the scary part about the professor. So I remember he scares the students so much that in the first class itself, he said this thing that you will be pulling your hair as you progress through the course. So he seemed to be a very scary person in the beginning, but I think as the course, the subject progressed, we started understanding the
His methods,
the
basically.
idea, yeah, his underlying idea that he was trying to rely upon and try to imbibe in us. So even he he invited a security person from industry to give us a talk. So I think he was trying to push us and put us in difficult situations and he was trying to give us all the things that are futuristic that could help us in future. And towards the end, I think in the last few classes, he was talking a little bit philosophical as well. So the way like why I am doing the way I'm doing this, why did I push you, what is my philosophy. So one thing I remember is he said, I don't want you people to be a piece of meat for the
Corporate world.
corporate world. So
Yeah.
because he somewhere he had actually heard from some company people that we want fresh piece of meat, we'll use them, and after 5 years we need again different new fresh piece of meat. So he said, I want to develop uh, the skills in you so that you do not become this piece of meat for the industry. So I think he has a uh, his own way of teaching, which is very different. I really doubt if we would have seen such teaching style before. Also, there is an underlying philosophy that he follows. How is your what is your thinking about this teaching style plus his philosophy, what he follows?
So I think his means like at first I kind of hated that kind of teaching style because I was not getting the answers that I wanted. But then later on, then I started figuring out myself what I want to do and like what kind of things I need to do in order to succeed. The teaching kind of made sense because, like I said before, he doesn't give you full answers. He just gives you hints. And that also he gives you hints when you ask him, because it is not his job to solve the assignments and projects for you. It is our job, correct?
Yeah.
So unless you ask the professor what he wants, or like, because the I think most of the assignments and projects that he gave are self-sufficient in a way, but they're also kind of vague. So you have to think on what the question really is. So there is a lot of thinking involved in this course, and basically he is prepared. Like as you said, like in the last few lectures, he said he doesn't want us to become a piece of meat. So before coming to this course, I didn't know what technologies like edge computing and fog computing were. But through the assignments, and even the assignments were not like you have to learn about edge computing, you have to learn about fog computing, and you have to learn about cloud computing and stuff like that. We had to do our own research and come up with our own ideas of what cloud computing is, edge computing is, fog computing is. And he asked about our opinions in lecture as well. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think about edge computing? What is Internet of Things, for example? And the name data network, which is kind of recent, uh, which started in I think 2012 or 13. Uh, we had to build our own name data network as our final project, which is quite challenging because there is not a lot of uh, like applications done on it. Like there are a few, but to implement them on Raspberry Pi on a already handicapped system, and you don't have the sudo access as well.
Yeah.
So we had to implement our own name data networks. I didn't know what name data network is before this course.
Yeah.
I learned this. So like this course like makes you learn different technologies and how to implement them in a more scalable way so that you can handle any amount of like pressure on your system, which is kind of good because most of the applications that we will work in the recent futures will need this kind of thinking, because deploying heavy applications on memory handicap systems like Raspberry Pi and most Internet of Things devices are really important in the near future, I think. And he kind of keeps saying in every lecture that you have to keep refreshing your knowledge, because if you stop doing that, you are nothing, I think.
Yeah. Also, I remember his philosophy, the underlying philosophy in this teaching was to not teach what is relevant today, but not only teach what is relevant today, but also uh, teach you what will keep you relevant in the coming decades. So I think in that line, he tried to touch a lot on in the last part of the course on quantum computing, and he pushed us, gave us assignments on that, made us give presentations on that. So I felt he's a mix of he's a very practical person, so to say, and I think futuristic. Do you agree with that?
I think the professor tries to cover everything. Like the last assignment that he gave was history of information theory, philosophy of information theory,
Yeah.
which covered how like information theory began, like, and the assignment that we had to do was like, what will be the implications of scalable computing on information theory in next 5 years and then next 10 years. So he tries to cover everything, like what was done in the past, what is currently being done, and what will be done in the future.
Mm,
So I think he covers on all aspects of what computation really is
mm,
in today's terms and in previous terms as well, and in what computation will be in future as well.
yeah. So we almost covered how the subject went, what all were taught in the subject. The next question for you is, do you feel anything that could be different in this subject from your perspective?
I think like the professor covered most of the stuff on like what is scalable computing in terms of computation and like storage means. But I think I would I could have loved to have worked on projects like on a more advanced systems a little bit, but I think that will be covered in next a different subject in the next semester, I think,
Yeah.
distributed systems.
Yeah.
So I think like the course like builds a base for you, and I think
Yeah.
it is good enough subject
And
on its
how would
own.
you? Yeah. 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 How would you rate the subject on 10, on a scale of 10?
Um, I think I will rate this as a subject at like 8 or 9, I think,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it I like it was hectic and it was frustrating at times, but I really enjoyed working on this subject than other subjects in this
Yeah.
semester.
Yeah, yeah, and we are trying to cover that particular subject specifically because this discussion is going to be really relevant,
Mm,
even in the upcoming, at least as long as the professor stays here, the way of
yeah,
teaching is going to stay here. So more or less, people are going to have the same experience, so it is going to be very relevant for them. And yeah, so I think we are almost towards the end of the this discussion. The last question for you is, we have last 4 minutes left. So the last question for you is, any tips for newcomers to get through the subject?
so there are two tips, like start assignments and projects very early, because those are very difficult, and if you don't start it from the day one, you won't complete it by the deadline, I think. And as there are 6 subjects in this course in a one semester, you have to manage your time very meticulously to complete this course. Else, like, you will be struggling to meet the deadlines. And if, like, few courses have penalties if you miss the deadlines, and few, like this scalable course, like if you miss the deadline, then you don't get any marks for that particular assignment. So you start the assignments and projects from the day they are released, and at least try to submit it before a day before. So because we use a software and sometimes there are bugs, so to like to don't get any tension or like frustrations before, try to complete it a day before and just review it after review it on the last day. And also one more thing, like ask the professor a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You won't get anywhere in this subject if you don't ask questions in the class, after class, or email, or discussion forums. And like this is a subject which, like, the whole class works on, like, on a single goal, like, because the projects are so difficult that you have to collaborate with other people on the projects. So ask a lot of questions, work with your peers, and like start the assignments and projects from the day one. So that's all the tips that I can give, I think.
Yeah. So thank you, Harshal. We are done with I'm done with the questions. This discussion went really well. You covered all the points that would a person coming to have this course will think of for this subject. It will be helpful for them. And yeah, we both are in the same course. 2 more
Yeah,
semesters to go. Let's have a good time. Thank you for your
yeah,
time. See you in the next video where maybe we'll touch upon something else. Thank you.
yeah. Thanks, Abhinav.